Hey guys, how's it going? It's Jay here, and I'm back with another episode of Take 2 on SoundStage. Now, if this is your first time here, do check out the other episodes. What I do here is basically I do a second opinion on the products that have been reviewed by SoundStage. So, I'm not going to go deep into this. If you're interested in the specs and stuff like that, then consider reading Diego's review on soundstageaccess.com. It was written on August 15th, 2020. And you can check it out by going to soundstageaccess.com or by clicking on the link provided below this video in the descriptions. But in this video, I'm going to more or less give you my opinion on this affordable speaker because I've reviewed a lot of affordable speakers. But today we're going to be focusing on these guys, the Bronze 100 from Monitor Audio. Now, when I was asked to review this speaker, I was like, I've done a lot of affordable speaker reviews. So I was excited at the same time. I was kind of on the fence because what can this speaker possibly provide what the other affordable speakers don't provide? Because I've done a lot of different, categories of affordable speakers, and ever since Andrew Jones's speakers of affordable lines, affordable speakers have become really, really competitive and high performing. So it's a really good time for budget audiophiles. So I started listening, and immediately I understood what this speaker was about and what it can really bring to the table. Even if you have heard or owned all the affordable speakers that I reviewed up until now, this is a little bit different and similar at the same time. So we'll talk about that. But usually I go over the driver design and all that stuff. But if you are interested in that, what I suggest is you go read Diego's review. In this video, I want to keep it short and sweet for you guys with comparisons with multiple different affordable speaker ranges and try to really kind of dig in with the comparisons, if you so will. So this speaker is $595 a pair. The build quality is basically in the realm of affordable speakers. It's sturdy, but it's nothing special in my opinion. It's a box design. It looks and feels like an affordable speaker. Just like the triangle speakers, just like the ELAC speakers. Although the ELAC debut reference does have a slightly better finish in my opinion. So, sound. When I first heard the speaker, I could not believe that this speaker was able to dig down so low. So if you like bass, right, I usually recommend the Triangle Borea 3 or the Bro 3 speakers because that has like a full-bodied presentation in the bass region. But even compared to that, this speaker has more extension, more gut to the sound. So if you like bass, and if you were looking at something like the Bucard S400 or a floor standard, but you just can't accommodate the size or the price, then this is a very good alternative. Now here's a downside with the bass though. Although it has more bass output, and when I measured it in my room, by the way, it was picking up a -3 dB point around 30-25 hertz. And I believe Diego did the same thing for his review, and that's why I did it. And he picked up like 23 hertz. So for a stand mount speaker to go down that low is quite amazing. So if you're looking for a stand mount speaker that goes down low, this is it. But there's a trade-off. The trade-off is this. The bass is slightly, just ever so slightly, slower and rhythmically a little bit slower paced than the Triangle or the Bucard S400, which to me have a little bit more punchier and faster bass. So the Bronze 100, while it has more output, to me it has less control and a little bit less texture in my opinion. Now in terms of the mid-range and the high frequency, I think it's just as good as the Triangle Borea 3 speakers or even the ELAC debut reference speakers. But to nitpick, because that's my job, to compare different speakers and hear them and report back to you guys about the little things that matter, the mid-range and the high frequency is slightly more refined, ever so slightly more refined on the triangle Borea 3s and the ELACs. And if I had to choose, the ELACs would have the most audiophile high frequency, meaning that it is the most refined in the sense. Now, however, tonally speaking, I still like the triangles better, but this speaker, the Bronze 100, has a fuller tone to the sound. So when you hear violin, or if you hear trumpet or whatever it is, the instrument sounds fuller and bigger than scale would suggest. So this is the type of scale I talk about often when you hear a floor stander versus a bookshelf speaker. The floor stander seems to have a bigger scale of sound, right? Bigger output in the bass, more authority. Well, this speaker gets closer to the floor stander, type of scale than the triangle or the ELAC reference. So in that sense, this speaker really hits the spot for bass lovers. And the bass being a little bit tad slower than the rest, that is something very small, right? And it's just a tad bit slower. It's not like it's, a half a pace behind. It's just a tad bit slower. It's not sloppy, it's tight, but just slightly more, rhythmically slightly slower than the rest. And that is something really, nitpicking here, because truth be told, all these affordable speakers that, I say is good are all on par. It's just slight differences that may be a better fit, best bang for the buck to your ears, so I'm trying to kind of nitpick and choose, the right words to display what these may sound like in your space, so that obviously you can make a better decision. And in terms of SoundStage, the SoundStage is just like any other bookshelf speaker, just like the triangles, just like the ELAC reference and other affordable bookshelves. It throws a large SoundStage. That is a beauty of a stand mount or bookshelf speaker, is its ability to throw a large SoundStage, a wall of sound, than a typical floor stander in the typical same price bracket. And the imaging is beautifully pinpoint, just like triangles, ELACs. It's a very good imaging at this price point. It's comparable to any other affordable speaker in this price range. So really the only thing that separates this speaker from the rest of the affordable speakers or stand mount speakers in general is that it's using a 8-inch woofer. Usually, stand mount speakers or affordable speakers use 5.5, 6.5, 6-inch woofers. This one uses a big woofer. And that leads to what Monitor Audio intended the speaker to sound like. I can definitely see that they intended to make the speaker sound bigger than the size suggests. So they wanted that wow factor where you have a stand mount speaker that's able to really dig deep into the low frequency and sound bigger than, what the size suggests, and give you that wow factor. Well, this speaker certainly does that. So if you're a bass fanatic, bass head, or if you're getting this for like a theater and you want a big sound, then this speaker does that exceptionally well. These are about 87 dB in sensitivity. So again, they're not terribly hard to drive, but a little bit of power depending on your room size would suggest that you use, at least 100 watts in my opinion. And they are fairly forgiving with the equipment matching. I found them to sound as well with my Denon or my Hagel or my Kinky Studio, or with many of the amplifiers that I had on hand, which are all exceptional, amplifiers to begin with, but each one has their strengths, and Bronze 100 didn't exactly analytically transfer that kind of quality. So for the most part, this is a perfect speaker if you're looking for a budget setup. And these speakers are pretty forgiving to the source of the music. I found them to be quite enjoyable with multiple different music, well recorded, not very well recorded. Both were equally good and enjoyable. But I will say that in terms of low volume listening, this is probably not the speaker, because especially if you like bass and you got these for bass, then you want to crank it up for that bass. So that's my 2 cents about this speaker. I hope it helped you guys out. If it did, consider subscribing and clicking that like button to continue watching for more of these videos. So until next time.